So before we finish up this course by looking at how we can edit things such as the browser title, description meta tags, and some global content such as a footer, we're going to look at one final Total CMS stack, and that is the feed stack. Now the feed stack is very flexible, and I think you'll find it pretty handy for a lot of different use cases. But in particular, for our site, what we're going to do is create an events page where we list out some upcoming events that people can purchase tickets to. So, as I say, to do that, we're going to use the feed and the feed list stacks here. But first of all, we need to create an events page. So we'll go and add another stacks page. We'll rename this as events. And we're going to start by creating the admin page. So I'm going to drag and drop this on top of the admin page there. We'll go to the general settings and change the folder to be events. Then we'll set the file name to index.php. Next, we'll set up the page by adding the site styles and the admin core partials. Okay, then what we're going to do is use the Foundry stacks to create a 2-column layout. Then we can start adding the Total CMS stacks to this admin page. So we'll go to our Total CMS folder here, and first of all we will add a feed stack into the left hand side here. Then we'll go back to the foundation stacks, and I want to add a header above the feed item, and I'm going to call this new event. So this is the stack here. The feed stack is where you create new events for your events feed. So below that we're going to have another header, and we're going to list out all the events down here. So we'll call this events. Then we'll go to our Total CMS stacks, and what we want to do is add the feed list. So drag and drop that in below the events stack there. Then we're going to customize the 2-column foundation stack. So I'm going to set the columns in the settings here. On the tablet sizing, I'm going to set column 1 to be 8 and column 2 to be 4. We're going to be adding some metadata editing in the right hand side in the next video. So for now we'll just leave this right hand column blank. Okay, so now before we do anything else, we need to again remember to set the Total CMS Id. So up here I'm going to call this events feed. Then on the feed list we're also going to use the same ID, so we're going to say events feed, and this is because these two Total CMS stacks are linked together, so they need to be using the same ID. This is because we are creating a feed for this feed list. So as I say, make sure you use the same ID for these two Total CMS stacks. Okay, once you've done that, what we're going to do is create the public events page. So we'll go up and add a new stacks page. We'll drag that to be a top level page, and actually we'll put that below about, and then we'll rename that before we do anything else. So we'll say events, and in the general settings we'll set the folder name to be events and index.php as the file name. Then again we'll set up our site styles partial, and what we'll then do is use Foundry again. We'll set a 1-column foundation, and just for now we'll go to our Total CMS and we'll scroll down to the content stacks, and we will add a feed stack here. So we'll drag and drop that in, and then we need to, as always, ensure that we set the Total CMS ID. So we called that events feed, like so, and we'll leave everything as the default for now. Okay, one thing I've just remembered we didn't do was on the events admin page, we need to ensure that we don't show that in the navigation. So I'm going to uncheck that option there. And one thing to note here is, throughout this course you're probably starting to see what we're doing is we're creating a public page, and then we're creating an admin page to edit the content there. So you can see here under articles we basically have an admin page for each one of our public pages up here, apart from search, which doesn't actually require anything. But if we wanted editable content on the search page, we would create a search admin page and perhaps allow the search page header or some search page content to be editable in the admin area. But as you can see here, we've got an articles admin, so that's for the home page. Then we've got about, which does the about. Then we've got the single article, and now the events page. So hopefully you're starting to see how you can build up your own custom admin area within inside of Total CMS. And don't forget, all of the admin pages are password protected because we have added the admin core partial, which includes that protect stack inside of there. Okay, having said that, what we'll do is we'll publish these changes up to the live server and add a new event. So we'll go to Safari, and I've got rapidweaverblog.com open here, and we'll refresh that. Now you can see we have the events page. Currently there's nothing there, so we need to go to admin/events. We need to log in. Once we've done that, we can now see here that we can create a new event. And as I say, the feed stack inside of Total CMS is very flexible. You can add any type of content you want here, and it can be used to create lists of anything you want. As I say, what I'm doing is creating an events feed. So what I'm going to do here is paste in some template content that I've already created previously. Okay, so all I've got here is an event title, a little short description about the event, and then the date, the venue, and where you can purchase tickets from. Okay, so what we can also do before we save this is add an event image. So all I'm going to do is, on my desktop, I have that assets folder, and I'm just going to drag and drop one of the food images that I've got. So let's say from the breakfasts here, let's just drag and drop this one in. So let's say it's like a breakfast club or something. We want a breakfast image at the top. That's it, done. So then, to save this, all we need to do is press Command S on the keyboard. And this, as I mentioned in a previous video, is the easiest way to save what you're working on in Total CMS. You can add save buttons if you want to, or as I say, you can just use Command S on the keyboard, and I find that to be a lot easier than having to generate those save buttons. So as I say, I'll press Command S. We'll see that's processing and saved. The page will get refreshed, and that will be added to our events list below the new event form here. So now, if we go to our public events page, you'll see we have that first event listed there. Now, the way these are displayed by default is in these cards. So you get one card per column, and I believe the default is to have 3 columns. So if we add a few more events in our admin page, we'll start to see how this works. So I'll go back to my admin page, and I'm going to add a few more events now. So I'll pause and come back in just a second once I've done that. Okay, so as you can see here, I've created 4 events inside of our feed, and if we go to our events page, you'll see that those are listed. So yeah, here you can see we've got those 4, and by default they're laid out in this kind of card style with 3 per row. So then you can see the 4th one gets wrapped. And the nice feature is we have a little read more button here, so you click that and you get the full information for that event. Okay, so that's a quick and easy way to create events for your site. But before we finish up this lesson, let's have a look at customizing this a little bit further. So we'll go to RapidWeaver, and we will go to our public events page, and on the feed stack we are going to customize some of these settings here. So let's have a look at what we want to do. So by default the background is grey. What I'm going to do is actually set that to be white. So we're going to have 100% white. And I'm going to set the border to be a slightly lighter grey. Let's say maybe 5% grey. Maybe a little bit darker, let's say 10, like so. And just to show you that this can be customized, I'm going to set the open link to be more and the close link to be less, like so. And we'll set we'll leave the trigger height to be 224 there. We'll leave those settings as they are. That's just to show you how we can customize this a little bit further. So before we publish this, we are going to add a header to the top of here. And all we'll do for this video is actually add some static content. Obviously what you could do on your site is create a Total CMS editing area for a header and perhaps a paragraph of text explaining what these events are. But as I say, what we'll do is just add some static content just so that we do this nice and quickly. So we'll style the header first. We'll set the alignment to be center. We'll set this as a page title, and we'll set the paragraph alignment also to be center. but we will have some custom sizing. So we'll set this to be 1.25 rems and the line height can be 1.6. What I'll do is replace this with a short bit of copy I've got here. So a short paragraph, I'm going to copy that, go back to RapidWeaver and just paste that in there, like so. And change the title of this to upcoming events. Finally, let's add a bit of padding to the one column foundation. So we'll add 5 rems to the top and the bottom. Okay, let's publish that and see how we're looking. So that's done. We'll go back to Safari, refresh. And there we can see we've got our upcoming events title, a short paragraph of text, and then we've got those events listed. And I think that looks a little bit nicer with the white background because our site background is this sort of slightly off-white grey colour. So that looks a little bit nicer. And there you can see we customized the read more link to be more and less. And also when you click on one of your event images, you'll get a pop-up image gallery as such. So if you wanted to, you would have an event poster, for example, with all the details about this event and where it's happening and where to buy tickets and stuff like that. And that would pop up on top of all the content when you click on each one of these images. Okay, so that will do it for this video. I just wanted to show you this events page because, as I say, a lot of people who create blogs, they'll often have events and things that they want to list out on their site as well that isn't actually blog posts. You might be wondering what the difference here is because on the articles page we're listing out the blogs, but also on the events page we're listing out events. Well, I just wanted to show you the differences between the two and how you might mix and match those for your site. Now in the next video what we're going to do is look at how we can edit things such as the browser title. So by default here you can see we get events, then a pipe character, and then RapidWeaver blog. So that's the page title followed by the site title, which is perfectly fine, but it's not that descriptive of what is actually on this page. So for example on the articles page it just says articles and RapidWeaver blog. What we might want to do, if we're thinking about SEO, is have a much more descriptive title for each one of these pages. So we're going to have a look at how we can manage that inside of Total CMS.